Welcome to the Eutaw Street Banter Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode here on the Eutaw Street Banter Podcast. I'm Cody, and with me is Greg. How are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. I'm trying not to be a little rusty because we haven't had a podcast in a while, mainly because the Orioles haven't been very fun to talk about, but also because we have a life, and it's the off season. So, it's the off season, but apparently not. Apparently, we're in full go right now. We had some huge news land earlier on Wednesday, and that is that Pete Alonso has signed a 5-year, $155 million contract with the Baltimore Orioles. That's a 31 per year average. Man, what do you think about that, man? That's exciting. I'm excited.
I think it's a great sign. It gives them a real power threat in the middle of their lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I wore my Christmas sweater because it's legit. By the way, it's I don't know if you can see it, everybody. It's the Coca-Cola Santa Christmas sweater, and mainly I wore that because I feel like Santa Claus came early and gave the Orioles a gift. Because this kind of stuff just doesn't happen. Most of the time, somebody has to have a major flaw for us to get them. Or we just, but yeah, so I'm super excited for this. I know it's a lot of money. It's $155 million for 5 years, but guess what? It's not my money. I don't care. You know what I mean? Let the Orioles ownership spend their money, So everybody in Orioles fandom is stressing out about paying, him the 155, but I don't know if about you, but the Chris Davis signing hasn't hurt my paycheck or my wallet. So, that's that. We always see that, and we're so afraid of that again.
Well, that makes sense. The problem is, if you're going to compete, you have to spend money.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
And the Orioles haven't spent money in the last few years, or longer, and this is just part of the natural thing going on in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the last time we spent any money like this, obviously, was in 2016. The Orioles signed 7 years, $161 million for Chris Davis. Obviously, we're still paying him. Because if you can, so that's happening. But like you said, it's one of those things where I'll be honest with the Chris Davis thing. When it happened, we were so happy, right? Yeah. Because he was hitting bombs every day. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say Alonso does seem to have a lot less of the boom or bust type of aspect. Yeah. He still does strike out. That is a part of his approach. But if he were to be on our team last year, he would have been the best player in our lineup. And, I'm just excited. I can't remember. I know you have the stats pulled up, but I can't remember how many home runs he did hit last year. What do you got on that?
Last year it was 30 some. I actually don't have last year.
Okay.
But his worst season, his worst batting average season was 217. In that year, for his worst batting average, he hit 217, 46 home runs, 118 RBIs. You're going to take that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's his worst year.
That's his worst year.
Right. Yeah. And, in his rookie year, he did win Rookie of the Year. So we got another Rookie of the Year guy, on our team. But it's one of those things, like, for instance, that one of our biggest issues last year was just run production, right? So just take the batting average out of it. We're talking about this new generation of baseball players. Batting average they don't even know about, apparently. But so we had 3 guys all hit the same amount of home runs for the Orioles in 2025, and that was 17. That was our max. Yeah, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, and Jordan Westburg, all 17. The issue with that is Jordan Westburg played 85 games, and Henderson played 154. Holliday played 149. Henderson and like I said, Westburg kept right up with them. We just need a little bit more power there, a lot more. So I feel like the Orioles are going after 2 things right now. They're going after power, and they're going after, can you play all season? Because that's the big thing right now.
And that's the one thing that Alonso gives them.
Yeah.
Even I think his least amount was the COVID season, but he averages 153 games every year.
Yeah. Right.
When you look at his career averages, it's 153 games. He 253, 38, and 102 RBIs. You know, he's got an on-base percentage, 341. You'd love to see that higher. But what he gives you and what they're looking for is a guy in the middle lineup that you have to watch.
Yeah.
He's a bona fide run producer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what he is.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I pulled up last season, he batted a 272 batting average. So, I mean, he'd been one of our top players on our team, one of our top guys.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where with 272, okay, he would have been second on the team. Gunnar Henderson batted at 270. So he's right there. Home runs 38.
Yeah.
While RBIs 126. It's second in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where, I'll pay for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I just, like I said, I've heard some Orioles fans talk, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad we pulled this off, and they're like, "Yeah, I thought we would, I thought they could do something like this." And I'm like, "Bull crap! If you think that the Orioles were going to do this 24 hours ago, or 24 hours before it happened, you apparently haven't been an Orioles fan as long as I have, because this just doesn't happen." And this doesn't happen with Mike Elias because he's only given a multi-year contract without an opt-out to one person, and that's Pete Alonso. So because he did give one to Ryan Helsley, he gave a 2-year, $28 million. He's going to be our closer for this year, but there's an opt-out after 26. And then and Tyler O'Neill, he gave 3 years, but there was an opt-out after the first year on that, which obviously O'Neill was on the field for about 10 games. So
yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, if you want to look at it, so Alonso's getting 155 for 5 years. O'Neill, we gave him almost, it's 49.5. We gave him 50 for 3. So I'm just looking at, I just can't believe the Mets let this happen.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. They could have solved it last year when he became a free agent. And that's one reason why his year before he struggled.
Yeah.
I think he was thinking about free agency. They didn't sign him to a long-term deal. He didn't get a great offer last year from anybody. So he signed a 1 year. I think it was like $28 million last year.
Right.
They didn't even offer him this year from what things people are saying.
Yep.
I don't know how you take that type of production out of a lineup. And for people that say, "Oh, I can't believe the Orioles spent that much money," or "Is it worth it?" The best hitters in baseball, the best power hitters. Schwarber just signed 5 years, 150. The Orioles ran on that. Look at all the guys. They're getting $35 million a year.
Yeah.
If he just hits his average for the next 5 years, it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. So like I said, the lineup's going to look really, really neat, I think, with him in it. And I'm pulling this up here. So we were talking earlier. I'm going to try to write this down so I remember. So in my mind, for when we're looking at this 2025 lineup or 2026 lineup, and I think Orioles fans, hold your breath here, but I would almost guarantee we're not going to see that much more happen to the lineup, to the batting lineup. You just went out and got, almost 80 home runs. Yeah. Between two guys, and that's between Taylor Ward and between Alonso. If you lived under a rock, the Orioles traded Grayson Rodriguez for Taylor Ward. So really, I'll be honest, in my opinion, the most expensive thing we've given up this season is that. I mean, to me, I don't really care too much about $155 million, but if Grayson wins a Cy Young for the Angels, that's going to suck. But, I mean, he hasn't pitched for us in a year and a half, so who knows. But anyway, gonna let that go. All right, so Gunnar is batting. To me, I would love to see Gunnar bat first. I strongly believe you bat your best hitter in the leadoff position and best base runner. You want him to bat as many times as possible, and that would be putting one. Obviously, this is just an assumption, everybody. This is also me. We also, let me put something else out. We also have no idea what this new coaching staff's going to do. This is a brand new coaching staff. We got a brand new manager, and
young manager.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. But anyway, so we got Gunnar. I think he's going to bat first. I would love to see Westberg next after him, mainly because Westberg does nothing but hit doubles, and I love him there. And then I think you put Alonso just to make sure he bats, in the first.
In the first, yes.
You know what I mean? And then this is the one where it starts to get a little iffy here, because I think Rutschman is still a good baseball player. And I think that's where Rutschman goes. I think then number 5, you put Taylor Ward. I would love to see him there. And then it kind of this is where it gets iffy. I think, you could do, you'll probably have Cowser down there around 6. Let's say, so this is my problem is it's all according to what's Basayo's doing. Do you keep Basayo down there for the first half of the year? Say he's a DH with him and O'Neill, because him and O'Neill is probably going to share DH roles a lot. And even Rutschman, I guess, is going to go down there. But that's where. But the biggest ones is once I get past Ward at number 5, a lot of people don't like this. I really like Holiday in the 9 spot because I like the turnover. You know what I mean? I like the turnover, and if he somehow absolutely is hitting the ball off, hitting the cover off the ball, and he forces you to move him up, okay. But I think what's going to happen for Holiday to get off of that spot maybe is somebody's going to have to go into a massive slump, and like a Rutschman's going to have to do bad enough to get sent to the bottom of the lineup, and that would force the hand of Holiday at the front of the lineup. That would also allow Holiday to gain more experience.
Well, my question is, which I agree with you, I don't mind Holiday at the bottom of the lineup. Henderson, 2 years ago, hit at the top of the lineup. And to be honest, he is your best base runner, your biggest threat. The question I have is, where does Dylan Beavers fall? Yeah.
I mean, that's the one, so guys, I mean, it's one of those things where we look at this roster. I had let me see if I can pull the roster right. So I'm looking at this roster, and I think our hearts are going to be hurt here soon. I think if I think we just signed Alonso, we just signed Ryan Helsley. But we still are the Orioles, and we are not the Mets. We are not the Dodgers. So we can't just be stupid, right, about spending money. So now we're going to start to see Mayo. He's of value, not of the value he had last year. A lot of people want to keep talking about Mountcastle. I don't know how you'd get rid of him. I don't know who wants Mountcastle. I mean, for instance, if people don't know this, Greg is a Cubs fan. Do you want Mountcastle?
I will tell you. Let me bring up something to you.
Please do.
Now, injuries aside, and that's his biggest problem. But think about this. The last 3 years, he's averaged roughly 275 average. When he's around 15 home runs and easily around 60 RBIs. Now, every year he's been injured. But if you give him a full season, if he's healthy. Now, I think he's a perfect platoon guy with Alonso. I think, because I don't believe, like you said, I don't know where his value is.
Yeah.
Mayo still has, because he's so young, has upside.
Right.
Mountcastle, being 28, still relatively young, has upside, but I like Mountcastle. Mountcastle hits. It's about health. Mountcastle has plus defense.
Right. Yeah.
If it's about, and that's why, like, when you look at the outfield and you look at their roster the way it is, they have questions about who's going to be moved. Me and my brother were talking about this. If you look at the top 5 guys on the Orioles and you look at value, you would say one's Gunnar Henderson, right? They're not moving.
Absolutely.
2, I would say Jackson Holiday. They're not moving Holiday at this point.
I hope not. Yeah, I agree.
I think you have Rutschman and you have Westberg. Rutschman could be moved. I don't foresee Westberg being moved. And that fifth guy, who I think is very interesting, I think you could say kind of a blanket fifth guy. Mayo has the least amount of value. Cowser has value. And Beavers has value. My question is, where does they go with it? Because not all of those guys are going to be on the field. And that, like you said, pitching is your next goal. I could see 2, even 3 guys moved at some point if you're getting pitching.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, I don't know what I can, man. Obviously, we've been the Orioles have been not in talks with, but in connection with like Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins. You have Mackenzie Gore that they're chatting with. Now, I don't know about the Orioles chatting with, but the Nationals are throwing out.
Yes, that would be a big one.
So would you would have to give a, like, they're gonna want Beavers and somebody, in my opinion.
I agree.
Or Cowser.
Well, the thing with Cabrera, he's got 2 more controllable years for team control. So you're going to have to give up at least 2 guys, whether it's a high-end outfielder, medium-end pitcher like a Povich.
Yeah.
Gore would probably take a Beavers, a Povich, and somebody else, you would think. But I think right now the Orioles look like they're going to try to play in the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, I agree. Can you imagine? It's one of those things like, man, I'm trying to see how many more years Mackenzie Gore has, as if he has any. I have no idea.
I think this is either coming up as his last year or he has 1 more.
Does he? Okay, let me pull this up. Yep, there it is. Can you go to contract? 1 year. Yeah, so that's the hard part, is to give up that much. But he could be an ace. He could be the best pitcher. Like, he's a stud, and of course he's another Boris guy. So
yeah,
including with every single guy on our team.
The one that's interesting that's out there is, to me, Rushman. Rushman may get the biggest value back because he's a switch-hitting catcher. And the team that really liked him last year has talked about moving their top guy, the Brewers, and moving Peralta because about paying it. Yeah. And I know the Orioles would have to spend money to pay him, but if you were going to trade Rushman straight up for Peralta, and you gave Peralta the type of contract that a Cease or these guys are going to get or have gotten, when I look at that, I'm like, maybe that's the way you go, because the guy's filthy.
Yeah, I mean, you know who I want if we, man, yeah, because another guy that they're talking about, but it's another 1 year thing, is the Padres are talking about trading Mason Miller. Boy, that would be something, and the Padres could use a catcher. But the problem is, I love Adley Rutschman, but it's one of those things where this is what we're getting into now, right? Like, just be prepared. So, especially as these guys are getting to the end of their first contract, right? Their first contracts here. So, oh man, it's gonna be something. I mean, and like we were talking about, like, it's one of those things where I'm still wondering what Craig Albertaz, what he does as the new manager, what he's going to do. But I'm looking at, Brandon Hyde sitting back on, boys, couldn't we had something last year at this time? Y'all blame me. And here you're blowing up the roster, not blowing up the roster, but putting strength to the roster. You know what I mean? But I want to go through a few things really quick. So obviously we got Alonso, Ryan Halsey, 2 years, 28, opt out after the first year. Because we don't have Batista for the entire season this year. Hopefully he does come back the year after. Taylor Ward is another one that we got. He's going to be an outfielder for us. We traded for Grayson Rodriguez. I know I said it earlier. Taylor Ward hit 36 home runs, 103 RBIs last season. Alonso obviously is 38, 128 last season also. So those are some big numbers we're bringing in. We talked a little bit about Kyle Schwarber. The Orioles offered him 5 years, $150. He then took that contract to the Philadelphia Phillies. and said, hey, can you match this? They said yes. And I don't blame him. He said he'd rather stay, which I agree. If it's going to be the exact same contract, you might as well stay where you are, where you're comfortable at. So I don't have any hard feelings there. And I never felt like that was ever a thing. It's one of those things where it might have made the Orioles go to Alonso, but see, we're serious about this. We showed you because I mean, we offered it to Schwarber. And now, obviously we're going to offer you. We'll add 5, because we want to make you feel important. But the other thing is, I like the Alonso signing more than Schwarber. Here's why. I think Schwarber's a better hitter, but not far, but a better hitter. But he can't play the field. So basically, you're going to log jam yourself. Like, what's Basayo going to do? If you throw in Rutschman, you're trying to keep people healthy, and now you got a guy that has to play in the DH slot every time. So anytime you give a guy off, he's going to be completely off. So go ahead. So I keep cutting.
Well, I think, and for your lineup, if you look at your lineup is really power is left-handed.
Yeah.
You needed some righties to really balance that lineup out. And I think the Ward and Alonso make more sense for you, for that team. Also, and you don't hear it mentioned, Alonso doesn't come with a draft pick.
Yeah.
Schwarber was going to be a draft pick you would have had to give up. And it was going to be a high draft pick. So I think that's another thing the Orioles, I know they went after him, but I do think the Alonso signing just makes a little more sense than Schwarber.
Yeah, I agree. You almost wonder, were we reaching a little bit? And what I mean by that is just trying to make a splash. Right. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get a guy. Right. So rather than get a guy you really need, it's really going to solve a lot at first base. Now, I will say Alonso is, I believe, a -9 WAR defense. Yes. Now, would you take, so he's a -9 defense. So we're going to subtract 9 from his 128 RBIs. Still puts him in a plus, obviously. A -9 run prevention, not WAR. Yeah. Sorry, run prevention. So, so I'll take that. But also, I will say our Craig Albertraz, I'm saying his name wrong, so I'm sorry. But our new manager comes from the Guardians, which is the best defensive organization in Major League Baseball. So I hope that he can bring that to the Baltimore Orioles and kind of clean some things up. Alonso struggles going to his right. Well, good news, we have one of the best second baseman one of the best defensive second basemen, and Jackson Holliday are right beside him. So now, one weird stat that that I've read is the scoop percentage. So Alonso led the league in scoops. You could tell a stat guy made that up because I've played baseball and coached baseball my whole life. I've never told a first baseman that his scoops are very good. Obviously, what I mean, if you're a baseball player, he can pick it. So he's saving his infielders by picking the ball. That means, if you don't know what that means short throws, he's able to pick the ball off the ground and not let the ball get by him, kind of keep that out. Another guy that's good at that, though, Mountcastle's very good at that.
And for your defense, hold on, let me preface this. Not for your defense. For your shortstop, you want a guy who can pick it at first, because Gunnar, strong arm, great range, but he will let them fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, as I played shortstop most of my life, there's no better feeling than knowing your first baseman's going to catch the ball when you throw it to him. So obviously huge news. Some big free agents are still out there. Framber Valdez, the Orioles are still in talks with him. Ranger Suarez, still in talks with him. And Michael King, that's another one. I would love that one. Michael King is one of my favorite guys that are out there. And then I should know this because I'm doing a podcast with the Orioles, but there's the Japanese guy that's that's in talks too. Obviously, even if I know his name right now, I wouldn't try to say it. I'm not going to embarrass myself. Now, I will say the Framber Valdez thing, he's a really good pitcher. I hope that he fits our clubhouse. That's kind of my biggest thing. And obviously, the issues with him throwing the ball at the catcher last year, that looked bad. So that's but we need a pitcher. I would strongly say this because the Orioles are, I think, playing with people, with the reporters right now because they're still in talks with Kyle Tucker. I would throw that out the door. I think that's crazy. I think the Kyle Tucker is it was a playground and messing with and trying to gain leverage with Alonso. Basically, you're like, all right, well, if Alonso, we're gonna take our money and go to Tucker because it's a tug of war when you're doing this kind of stuff. But I mean, there's still some free agents out there. I don't see us. We're not getting a Bregman. We're not getting a Bo Bichette, which we don't need. But it's one of those things where we got our first baseman for the next 5 years. And
yeah, and if you look at your team, I think that's where the biggest question mark was. It was, if Mayo would have came up last year, and I know his September, he hit 301, 5 home runs, whatever. But I think if he would have made more of a splash last year, there wouldn't have been a search for the first baseman.
Yeah.
But I think now they got their first baseman.
Yeah.
They got an impact first baseman.
Right.
But my question to you is, you have the money to get 2 pitchers. You can either spend it all on Valdez, because he's going to require the highest contract probably, or you could get a Gallen, short term, and a King.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I don't know. Why? What are you thinking?
I think pitching depth on this team is more important than the one guy.
Yeah, you're right. And I think what I understand is we're not one pitcher away.
Yeah.
Right. We're probably 2.5. And
so if you can load your team with, say, 4 2s.
Yeah.
Or 2 2s and 3 3s.
Yeah.
That is much better than 4 5s.
I agree.
In your lineup. I mean, in your rotation.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and it's also one of those things where, last year we had a couple of 4 starters for AAA in our in our major league roster. But that's also because literally everybody except for Jackson Holliday went on the disabled or injured list. I got it.
Yeah.
Now. For just pretty crazy. But that's over. We're done.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that no more.
Yeah.
I will say, Mike Elias, you tried to get Corbin Burns. You offered a crazy ton of money, like $185 last year. Didn't get him. So you offered it. I thought you offered it just to show that you offered it. Whereas this year we went out and you keep hearing that the Orioles and the Red Sox are the most aggressive teams in the majors right now, and I just respect the heck out of that.
Yeah. Just
to kind of show your fans, like you're trying to sell this insanely crazy press box thing, but nobody's going to go watch nobody. So now we have Alonso there. So I'm excited for 2 things right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for Alonso. I'm excited for our new scoreboard because we're going to look like a updated team. But so like I said, if you joined us tonight or today, we can't thank you enough. We jumped on here as fast as we could. I literally got off work, jumped on, and it's past Greg's bedtime. As you can see behind him, it's nighttime. So when the sun goes down, right? So, but yeah, thank you so much for jumping on with me, Greg. I appreciate it. Elijah's still in Spain. We tried to get him on tonight. It's like a 5 or 6 hour difference, and he has exams. He's trying to be smart and like finish college. But other than that, we can't thank you enough for joining us on another episode here on the Eutaw Street Banter. Remember, we stay pretty heavily on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And we're also on, if you're watching us, you're watching this on YouTube, and we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I hope to be on again. If I'm not, have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. And thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.
Merry Christmas, guys.